The MGM Midnite movies were a major part of my early teenage years, right when DVDs were a lucrative market. I first discovered the label when I visited Suncoast to buy The Abominable Dr. Phibes on VHS. I expected to buy the Orion videotape, but instead, I received this colorful, psychedelic, pristine cassette adorned with the MGM lion and blue neon lettering proclaiming it a Midnite movie. It was slick and fancy for a cult film, and therefore it was awesome. Sometime later, I discovered The Mask of the Red Death Premature Burial double feature at FYE, and I immediately bought it, as Mask had always been a favorite film of mine.
The Mask of the Red Death. Personalized by the motion picture screen's Prince of Horror, Vincent Price.
Corrupt them.
No, I beg of you! Mercy, mercy!
With the devil's own darling, Hazel Court.
Lord Satan, send me a demon, so I may know I'm to be your wife.
And a lost, virginal angel of innocence, Jane Asher.
I want to help save your soul so you can join me in the glories of hell.
No, never!
Each man creates his own heaven, his own hell.
Let me see your face.
I didn't know that it received a DVD release, and here again was that same Midnite movie banner. I found my way to MGM's original Midnite movie webpage, now long defunct, and lo and behold, I knew my parents' bank account would never recover after I'd plowed my way through this wonderful collection of titles and colorful artwork displayed before me.
Who knows the evil force that rules the night? Who calls forth those terrors from beyond the grave to prowl its shadows? Where is the overlord of the damned? Beware is coming. Beware the return of the Death Master. Attack of the undead.
I can destroy you, or turn you into the living dead, or let you go.
The most horrifying love story ever filmed.
When she discovers what you are, she'll sicken at your name. Kill her. Kill her.
The nights are darker. And night is when it happens in the Dunwich Horror.
Come back, old one. Princes of darkness, and repossess the earth.
The Dunwich Horror, based on H.P. Lovecraft's terrifying tale of those who explore the unspeakable. He believes the history of horrendipity written here. The love story of a girl looking to the future, and a boy dedicated to the mysteries of the past. He invokes the unspeakable.
Yeah. Satha.
She invites it.
You're one of us now.
It's a depthless paradise of terror where fear eternal lives. And the dead come to life.
I've never heard anything like that.
No angels, law-defying, getting their kicks from violence and torture. The Wild Angels, starring Peter Fonda and Nancy Sinatra.
Yeah, we don't want nobody telling us what to do. We don't want nobody pushing us around.
Just what is it that you want to do?
We want to be free to ride our machines without being hassled by the man. And we want to get loaded. Oh, no, preach. Not children of God, but hell's angels.
Ah, it's party time!
Each August became that much more exciting, as MGM would release a handful of new titles under the banner. Favorites like The Comedy of Terrors and The Raven were paired together, and the line was so collectible that there were several blind buy titles from me, which became quick favorites. I had no idea what kind of film Psych-Out, The Trip would be, only that the artwork was incredibly attractive and that there were big names featured.
I'm Peter Fonda. We've just finished making a movie dealing with the most talked about subject of the day, LSD. I honestly believe it will be today's most talked about motion picture.
The name of the picture is The Trip.
Here goes.
Oh, it gives off an orange cloud of light that just flows right out over the city.
Beauty you cannot believe inundate you.
Your world, the people world, is fragmented.
Distorted. Passion is a rainbow of ecstasy.
The messengers of death pursue.
Terrify you.
gonna die, man. Oh, no.
Oh, I don't want to die.
The wildest of pleasures possess you.
The trip blew my mind at 12. I'd never heard of LSD before that film, and then watching Roger Corman discuss making the film and making an abstract experience into something cinematic was fascinating. This was what was wonderful about the peak years of the Midnight movies. Not only did they present the best versions of cult titles possible, but also supplemented them with behind-the-scenes history from filmmakers such as Roger Corman, Gordon Hessler, Richard Rush, and Richard Matheson. They put effort and care into each title and the layout, both on the packaging and in the disc menus themselves. There was creativity and enthusiasm behind the work.
Let's prepare for a landing, Brad.
Okay.
In a 40G gravity atmosphere, strange thing happens to man's body and mind. Barry Sullivan and Norma Bengell take you into the most fantastic science fiction adventure ever filmed. Planet of the Vampires. Harboring a form of life worse than death. Planet of the Bloodless. Creatures who take men's bodies, but attack like vampires.
I'll tell you this, if there are any intelligent creatures on this planet, they're our enemies.
In this outer space world, the living dead try to escape into life.
Salas? No, just his body. And I'm just one of many beings on this planet. And we're fighting to survive. It's imperative that our race continue to exist. We arranged for several of you to kill each other so that we could take over your bodies.
Another detail, which only lasted on the first wave of double feature discs, were the vintage ratings. What's the Matter with Helen and Who Slew Auntie Roo both retained their original GP ratings, and the oblong box was still rated M. I thought that was a great touch and wished they had carried it along through later films. I remember I was desperate for Return to Count Yorga, so I called MGM in June of 2004 and got through to the home entertainment department. And I gotta say, the entire MGM staff before the Sony takeover, they were incredibly kind and helpful to their customers, especially the main switchboard operator lady. I asked the lady in home video if Return of Count Yorga would be coming soon to DVD. And not only did she say yes, but she then proceeded to read for me the entire slate of Midnight movie titles arriving that August, and there were at least 16 discs. She even repeated to me titles as I quickly noted them down. I remember she began with Burn Witch Burn, The Conqueror Worm, which I could not believe was finally arriving at last. But August arrived, and not only was I bewildered by the new sudden Best Buy exclusiveness applied to the Midnight movie line, but nobody had any idea when I would ask for Burn Witch Burn and The Conqueror Worm. Evidently, the double feature title had been pulled. The Best Buy exclusive idea, however, that proved to be rather neat. Best Buy dedicated an entire aisle to all of the Midnight movies, both new and previous releases, and it was great fun to carefully look through every shelf for that elusive double feature title missing from your collection. And then one day, it all stopped. Sony took over, and the future of the Midnight movies looked dark in 2006. I signed the Save the Midnight Movies petition. I emailed Sony. I posted on message boards. And to Sony's credit, they tried. But I was rather disappointed with the pirate double feature discs they had offhandedly labeled Midnight movies. I could care less. This was not The Conqueror Worm, or Vampire Circus, or The Crimson Cult, or any worthwhile real Midnite movie title. Come on, Sony. You have the Columbia Library. Why not throw together a William Castle double feature, or Brotherhood of Satan, or The Gorgon under the Midnite movie label? I will happily, enthusiastically shell out my parents' money. I'm 15, and I want some classic cult horror. And to Sony's credit, they did do several releases of their cult horror film titles on DVD and Blu-ray. So, kudos to them.
Beyond the limits of mortal fear, outside the realm of imagination, there's a place where every nightmare you've ever had comes true. The house on Skull Mountain. Beyond its doors, the unknown waits. Through its windows, the supernatural beckons. Evil stalks its hallways. Terror lives in every room.
Arise, fallen Christophe! Awake from your long sleep! I, Thomas Petson, command it!
Where death reaches from beyond the grave to claim the souls of the living. What is its secret? No one can escape the horror that lives in the house on Skull Mountain.
When was the last time you were afraid? Really afraid?
Mephisto waltz. The devil dancing with his paramours.
I'd love to do a life mask of Miles.
I'm not my husband's keeper.
The Mephisto Waltz, a story of inner fear and ritual terror, and the ultimate transplant, the human soul.
Goodbye, Miles. People will pray to the devil.
Is it possible? It is possible.
With the tranquility of rural England shattered by civil war, evil was spawned at a time of strife in the land.
Take him, Stern. Look for the devil's marks upon him.
Right. Help us, you two.
Hounding the innocent in violence and terror, this evil man showed no mercy in the pursuit and interrogation of his victims. He was called the Witch-Finder General. Vincent Price is the Witch-Finder General. Lust and greed were his only gods.
The money from the magistrate. 9 guineas in silver.
Good. Now we can leave.
Ian Ogilvy as Richard Marshall. He stood alone against the forces of devilish destruction. And introducing Hilary Dwyer as Sarah. Filmed in authentic detail and photographed with piercing realism against the actual background of peaceful villages and quiet countryside. Never has England looked so beautiful, yet been so violent.
I'm your man friend. John Stern, they call me.
Man's inhumanity to man portrayed on the screen so vividly that you flinch. So real that you too will fear the Witch-Finder General. Be the first to see it. Be the first to talk about it. The Witch-Finder General.
20th Century Fox saved the day in 2007. It was the first day of summer, and I read on George Rice's DVD drive-in website that the Midnite movies were returning, and Witch-Finder General was coming at long last. Then Fox put icing on the cake. announced their own Fox Midnite movies, leading with the Tales from the Crypt Vault of Horror double feature, which later wasn't so great when we found out it was the PG cut of Vault. But hey, that packaging was really nice. It was the last hurrah of the Midnite movies. We just didn't know. Blu-ray had won the HD disc wars, and as a result, the studio stopped releasing catalog titles and instead focused on getting their A-list titles on their new format. There were a great many titles released to VHS under the Midnite movie banner which never made the transition to disc. Films like Master of the World, The Incredible Melting Man, The Quatermass Experiment, and even still other titles in the pipelines which never saw release until Blu-ray hit its stride, such as The House That Screamed, Twins of Evil, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, Angel, Angel, Down We Go. Scream Factory, Kino Lorber, Scorpion Releasing, and Vinegar Syndrome have more than made up for those missing titles and the main catalog of Midnite movie titles on eventual special edition Blu-ray releases that I'm incredibly happy to own. But I still miss that glorious packaging and decoration of Midnite movie double features. The films which have made up the Midnite movies have been an influence on my life as an independent filmmaker. Certainly Roger Corman's Poe and counterculture work, Dr. Phibes, The Dunwich Horror, and Witchfinder General, to name a few. There was something in all of those films that made them stand the test of time and warranted the attention we cinephiles, movie buffs, media collectors, and filmmakers give them. They're good, fun movies with style and gritty flourish. They're colorful films with colorful performances and quick but earnest atmosphere. As a gathered whole, these films more than likely weren't made with much and weren't expected much of, but they almost never disappoint in entertainment. And the MGM home entertainment regime, who initiated and curated the Midnite movie line and to whom I gladly threw $9.99 at Best Buy for the Ghost of Drag Strip Hollow and the Ghost in the Invisible Bikini with some fantastic packaging and mindless AIP fun, I'd like to say thank you. You guys really had something wonderful happening there.
She's the swingin'est ghost you've ever yearned for, haunting a pre-will reading seance.
I thought I made it clear to you and your wretched crew that you were to dispose of everybody before I read the will.
What you have to do is to see that my rightful heirs get the money.
Yeah, man, here's one haunted house the M Gang wants to investigate.
What are all these strange people doing here?
Make the music pretty, play a happy song. Make the music pretty or I can't go on. Everybody's singing about a broken heart. Don't you know, can't you see it's tearing me apart now?
Television repairman.
Just take a look into my eyes.
Looking for maybe Sex and the Single Ghoul? Here's a movie that has more than everything.
Why me? Why me all the time?
I read Dunwich Horror when I was 11 years old, and I loved it. And then I wanted to see the movie. And luckily, the DVD had just come out. And the MGM Midnite movies they had fun facts on the back covers, where they would give you little interesting stuff. And I remember the biggest one that says, to prevent peeping toms, 2 sound stages were used for Serenity's nude scene. One to shoot the scene, and another to house cast and crew not needed in the shot. And I remember thinking at 11 years old, Serenity's gonna be naked, okay, but that wasn't in the story, and what's the monster gonna look like? So that says a lot where my mind was. When I bought The Pit and the Pendulum, the fun fact said, to increase the pendulum's sense of To increase the pendulum sense of deadly menace, director Roger Corman took out every other frame during the editing stage, making the blade appear to move twice as fast. And I remember thinking, oh, that means the movie's gonna be shorter. And I want it to be as long as possible because I'm so excited to watch this. This is one of my favorite double features of the entire line. I saw both of these when I was 12 years old. I'd never heard of LSD before. Both of these blew my mind, especially The Trip, which I honestly thought prior to seeing the movie was about a bunch of hippies going on a road trip in a Volkswagen bus. But I love this artwork, I love these films, and this double feature was one of the few that had like a bunch of special features. They really like put the effort into it, and like this is one of the best releases of the entire line. This was an important release as well. We always used to watch The Comedy of Terrors every Christmas Eve at my house. I don't know why. And The Raven was a movie that I grew up with as a kid, and so I was excited when this was announced for August of 2003. And again, beautiful art. The Attic is one of the most like underrated 80s horror dramas, and it deserves to be on Blu-ray. I've just always thought that this cover art is beautiful. I mean, look at the color combinations and how they complement each other. It's just beautiful artwork. The pirate double features, as interesting as they are now in hindsight, they still leave so much to be desired. I mean, look at the sort of lack of effort in the packaging, and we could have had some really fun Hammer and Columbia drive-in titles like Brotherhood of Satan. Instead, we got these. This is a double feature that initially, when it came out, I was like, this is cool. It's not really what I want, but in hindsight, it's such a unique entry in the Midnite movie lineup and shows just how diverse this DVD series was, because here we have a noir double feature. In addition to all the cult horror and sci-fi, it's a Fox noir double feature. Here's a unique double feature. It is authorized by MGM, but released through TGG Direct of the two Dr. Goldfoot movies. The first Dr. Goldfoot was released as a Midnite movie, as a single feature, but they never did the double feature with Dr. Goldfoot and the Girl Bombs that Mario Bava directed. But yeah, here's the TGG Direct double feature. These aren't quite Midnite movies. Some people like to qualify them as such because of the artwork on the Teen Wolf double feature, which was early in the 2000s. And then the Night Stalker, Night Strangler came out the same day as the August 24th, 2004 Midnite movies that were Best Buy exclusives. But the Night Stalker and Night Strangler were TV movies and Dan Curtis projects. I've never really considered them to be Midnite movies, but some people like to add them into their collection because of the packaging. This was not a Midnite movie, but it came out around the same time, and it was AIP, and there was other releases in the line, and I didn't buy them. I only bought this one, but it feels very Midnite movie, and Shout Factory later released these on Blu-ray. These are just ancillary AIP titles released, some by MGM, some by Shout Factory, and MGM also released in 2007 the Roger Corman collection, which collected several titles from the Midnite movie line, and a few titles that had not been released, such as Bloody Mama and The Young Racers. The DVD line was so successful it inspired other studios to follow MGM's suit. Check out Warner Brothers' DVDs from 2007-2008, where they released a bunch of cult titles from their catalog. And don't tell me that artwork doesn't scream the Midnite movie influence. Long live the Midnite movies, a golden era of DVD collecting.